there we go, because I just realized the microphone wasn't on. So I was busy talking and you probably couldn't hear me. Yeah, so I wanted to get into Hootsuite this evening and give a demonstration on tools for managing social media, because I feel like that could be really beneficial for other photographers, particularly if you're trying to manage multiple streams. I am managing a Twitter, a Facebook, and a Instagram feed. YouTube is something that I do, and you could tack that onto Hootsuite, but within the free version you only get 3 different feeds at once, and those are the 3 that are most valuable to me to manage simultaneously. YouTube I do more of an ad hoc basis. So getting right into it, there is a very easy composition posting ability right from the main screen, and you can tack on all the major networks onto this. Again, you get 3 for free, and that's worked out for me since I started using it. That's been great. And this just kind of gives a quick overview of the different options that you have for the social tools. There are other things that you can link in, like Google Drive and other file sharing services, which could be a benefit if you're exchanging files that way, but could be a good way to manage what's going in and out of those, especially if you're collaborating with people. But for my purposes, this has worked well for Twitter, for Facebook, and for Instagram. And to put a finer point on it, I am actually managing my business Instagram page. I am managing a business page on Facebook, which is different from my personal page, so it's pretty cool. You can distinguish that. And Twitter is just Twitter. I don't have a business account there, but I've been setting up using it as I am. So that just gives you a quick view of what that is. And yes, we're looking at the main screen. You have tabs to start where you can set these up to look at a couple different things. I set up my first tab here and I called it Scheduled Posts. You can name it whatever you want to, but I use this to hook in the 3 feeds of what I have scheduled to go live, and I like to try to schedule things out a few days in advance. I was going to give a demonstration, that's why these are blank tonight. We'll get into that. I made a second tab that actually shows what's actually happening in all these different feeds. So if I wanted to have a quick glance at what's actually live right now, I can also get that right from this tool, and I don't have to open up separate tabs or look at them all. I could actually do that all right from here, which is pretty awesome. And I can interact with all these posts as well. If I wanted to respond to something, I have that ability to do. So that can be a very powerful enhancement if you're trying to manage multiple streams, even just outside of trying to schedule things. This is an amazing interface for that. So getting back to the scheduled posts, there is a quick interface on top here, which I kind of found personally to be a little clunky, so I wouldn't recommend that. Instead, there's a green button up here, which looks something like this. And you can choose which of the networks you have set up that you want to publish to. And again, you could do this immediately. I could snap something off right now if I wanted to, or you could kind of pre-stage it and schedule it for a later time. But tonight I'm gonna just schedule something out. So what I wanted to look at here is we had composed something fairly recently that I wanted to put out, and that was this one, which actually I'm realizing it won't meet the specifications. But you can see an example of what that might look like, and we'll go over how you can solve that. So the first thing we'll notice is that it needs to be cropped because it's not going to meet the Instagram posting requirements, and it's also too large because I believe there is 2 megabyte limitation on uploads. So that we'll have to tweak, and I'll go through that. But for the moment, you can pre-stage in the message that you want to have go out there. I'm going to put in my hashtags in there. I've really found that the hashtags are not dead yet. I know that they've been around a while and some people would consider them kind of archaic, but they're still effective. If you go out there and check Instagram, check Twitter, they're still indexing all the hashtags. Even Facebook is still doing that. So it's still worthwhile, totally worthwhile to tack those on. I like to use a strategy of using ones that are unique to me, the Nate Sorrell and the Photolearningism, and then tack on ones that are common so that folks who are looking for things in their daily searches, particularly photographers or people looking for photography, will be able to track me down, the kind of photography it speaks to. Now the trick here is that you want to throw in enough that are very descriptive, but not too much, because Twitter, in this case, is working against me. It actually gives you, if you can see, character counts, and Twitter is still pretty limited. It's meant to be a kind of a quick and easy and done, so don't get carried away with that. Alright, so let's fix this now, because we know this is not going to completely serve what we wanted to do. I'm just going to crack that open in my favorite tool, which I've spoken to many times on this channel, Paint.net. It's worked out really well for me to accomplish my editing goals, and I'm continually impressed at what it can do. Go check it out if you are looking for something to work with. All right. So yes. So Instagram, if you're going to post it this way, really seems to prefer a square ratio. And it doesn't have to be exact, I've found. You can kind of eyeball this for the most part. It's not really a big deal on that, so long as it's not oversized and completely outside their expectations of ratios. They seem to be just a little forgiving on that. What was I looking for? Here we go. Gotta add my mark, right? Forgot. I gotta make it fit the 2 megabyte requirement. That's important. So we're already pretty close to what this should be. You can see it's kind of squarish, you know, off but not that much. But all right, we'll give this a shot. See if we can squeeze that in under the limit. If not, we can shrink it further. But as a starting point. So we're going to kill that, select a new file. Let's see if that better suits the needs. Okay, so we got rid of that error. Maybe it's 3 megabytes. Seems to be good and under the radar there. It is still throwing kind of a warning, but I think we're going to be okay there. All right. So if I wanted to at this point, I'm going to adjust my window a little bit here so I can actually see the button. It looks like it's off the screen. There we go. There is a Post Now button, which if I were to do that, it would fire off right now across all the social media connections I have, because I want to pre-stage this to pop up at another time when I may not be available, but I can still get it done. I'm going to click the schedule for now. And I'm going to pop that on actually for tomorrow. And I like to do my posts in the afternoons, or in Eastern time over here, by the way. That just seems to be a good, comfortable time for everybody. Click done, and then schedule it. Okay, that lets me know it's done. And then to refresh, there's a little refresh stream button for each one you have on your view. Again, you have to set up your view. That doesn't come baked in. You have to set up what you want to see. I can see that everything is ready to go. So there it is. So there are some other areas of this which are totally worth exploring depending on your needs. There's the app directory where you can find the other connections. I mentioned that it talks to Google Drive, it talks to OneDrive. It does a whole bunch of other things there which could be of interest to you and add efficiency to your workflow. But in a nutshell, that is Hootsuite. Fantastic tool for doing multi-stream work. And again, I just created a post that will go up all by itself, which I have to do nothing now further. And it's free. This has cost me nothing. So hopefully that helps you get on your feet and move forward with your social media management. So having said that and having contributed that, now we can get to the common parts of this broadcast, which I enjoy and I hope others enjoy as well, is actually tweaking up a picture just to kind of see what new stuff we can do and what I've been working on, because I'm excited to show it off and I hope you're excited to see it. Let's get to it. Okay, so I wanted to bring up this one. I just took this morning actually. I am working on the behind-the-scenes video for it. If you're interested, I'll be putting it up on Patreon for Patreon supporters as one of their perks of supporting me. If you're interested in getting involved with that, please go visit me on Patreon. I have links on my website on natesorrell.com. The link is actually on the screen below there on the right. Please come check things out, and if you feel compelled, you can support the cause. So this is obviously ice, and it was really interesting. You can kind of see the different progression that this ice took, where it the water has been at many different levels in just a short time, and I just thought that was so fascinating to see the different pieces of all this between the water changing level and the different meltings and drips really of this. It's really interesting to see what happened there. Let's crack onto this a little bit. I wanted to intensify it just a little bit. Not a whole lot because the image can already speak for itself in large part, but there are small tweaks that we can do to it to really kind of pinch out the finer pieces. Thing I am looking for here, if I can remember, because there's just so many of these things now. There we go. That's the one downside of bringing in some of these plugin packs, is that while there are plugins for literally anything you can imagine for Paint.net, if you start adding some of them, it just becomes so cluttered that it becomes difficult to find. But anyway, I digress. Here we are. Okay, a little bit of sharpen just to get some of the crispness there. It is in focus. That's not the picture I'm trying to paint, no pun intended. But I just want to I almost want to overemphasize some of the fissures in it, because ice just looks cool with that kind of emphasis. Adding a vignette, well, it does kind of add the natural border. I know that's kind of how it's applied in a lot of the tools, Snapseed or even the Instagram Zone Editor. I like to use it as a means of contrast, where I don't like all the edges to have some black or faded black, because then it just looks like a frame, looks like a border. I like to use it as points of contrast, and it really picks out parts of it and forces you to see the bits that are going to matter. And that's how I like it. There is a process that I'll try sometimes. I'm going to see how well this works out here, where you can further refine details by doing an additive and then a burn in paint.net terms, which is kind of like making pseudo HDR, even though it was already done once. I like to see how it looks. Because some of these things, it's just, you don't know what's going to happen sometimes until you do it. That in particular is not really doing it for me. I think we're going to back that off. Okay. Let's park that in. Probably totally going to botch the spelling of this, but here we go. Chandelier. Okay, let's hop into the monochrome because it's cool. Of the two classes of people out there, there are extremes. People who will swear by black and white, those who will fight to the death that it does not have value and it's boring. I do like color, but there's just something so special about black and white. Things you can't see sometimes. And I won't argue that, yeah, sometimes you need color. I've worked on a few images on this channel where we've tried black and white, and yeah, that really just didn't let you see what I was hoping you, the viewer, would see out of it, or as a spectator of the art. But a lot of times I'm just so surprised at what comes out of it. All right, and one final hop here. Don't be afraid of different tints. That just seems to be, it's a little scary to try it because, again, it's like an experiment. You're never 100% sure what's going to leap out at you when you do it, but some pictures are just worth experimenting with to see how far you can take them and where you can take them. It's almost like writing a story. I've heard some authors say that some stories will write themselves. Characters take on a life, and I find that some pictures do that too, where the elements of it, they just start developing almost by themselves as you're trying to shape it. It's really interesting. Okay, that was somewhat simplistic. Let's see if we got time to squeeze in one more here. Let's look at this one. Let's see which one sparks the best here. I think I like that one. All right, 103. Fire it up. So, yeah, I don't know if you caught it when I first started setting it up, again, because I'm trying a couple different things this particular broadcast. You probably noticed that the microphone was muted to start. I apologize for that. There's just lots of moving parts as I attempt to do new things every show here, and it's bound to happen that I'm going to forget some step along the way, so sorry about that. That won't happen again, I hope. So obviously the first thing I need to do with this is we need to see what is there, because I don't see it. I like where this is going. It just feels like it's just a little too dim. And I'm trying to find the healthy balance here between getting the color out of it I want and the contrast, but at the same time, that's actually pretty good. I don't want to lose all the details so you can't see it anymore. Alright, one more quick adjustment here, I think. A little more balancing of those pieces. Okay. And like I talked about, throw on the vignette effect here. Not because we're looking for the borders, but because we want the contrast effect. And to a point, I just want the eye to have a little bit of guidance. So you can sort of tell it what's important without coming right out and saying it's important. I like that. Trying to think of something that hasn't already come through. We'll figure that later. Breaking through the day. Look at that. Pretty awesome. All right, let's see. That's interesting. Just trying to see what other colors kind of fall. It's also kind of interesting. We're on the yellow spectrum. More yellow. save that one. Try something new. All right, well, we've covered some good ground tonight. Hopefully you were able to see the part about Hootsuite, and hopefully that's helpful to you to gain some ground on your goals, doing your social media management and posting your updates, regardless of your field. And hopefully you were also able to get some good value out of looking at some more pictures with me. As I mentioned, come connect with me on my website. It's down below there on the right, or the other social connections, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of those. Best cross grounds for that is my website to find out where all those connections lie. And I'll look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching.